What's up, everybody? Back here with a little Teklo's workshop where we're going to talk about all things Dash.io and Mech. And today we have an RTN winner on Dash.io at Raid and Trade. And I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Enes. I won the RTN in Karlsruhe in the Raid and Treat one. Had 48 people, I think, in it. It was, at least for relatively to other German RTNs, it was pretty big. It was a great event. I managed to go, I think, 8-1 in total. It was 5-1 in Swiss and then 3-0 in the top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 8-1 total with what you said 48 people, right?
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And I just have like a few like preliminary questions. So like how did you originally get into Flesh and Blood?
I started. I mean, the first time I, touched Flesh and Blood cards was pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure when exactly, but it was, I think, the some Welcome to Wraith pack or something, pre-constructed decks with my brother because we like to play a lot of TCGs.
Okay.
So we just tried it out. It was fun, but it wasn't fun enough, to really start out. So we just moved on, played more Magic Commander and
Okay.
other TCGs, and after a while, we started getting interested again. We, watched some tournaments. I think it was the Worlds with Bright Light Draft, if I remember
Oh.
correctly. I remember seeing the Yuki draft, and that's where we got interested again. And the game looked really, really fun, and less variance than playing Magic, where you draw 5 lands, draw 7 lands, and the game's over.
Yep, that's
So
definitely a feeling that I had as well.
yeah, so the game looked very interesting. The game looked really fun. So we wanted to get into it, but yeah, at the time getting into it was pretty rough. It was right when Bright Lights. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
Hmm.
end of Bright Lights, start of Heavy Hitters
Yeah.
is where we started getting into the game, and going from budget decks to buying my first Crown of Providence and the legendary equipment.
Yeah.
That's where we really started getting into it. Before that, uh, I had built I think Hybrid Dash back in the day.
Dash IE.
Before I yeah
Okay.
before I before I even knew who Dash IO was.
Yep.
And then I played my first PQ. It went well, but I didn't really realize what my opponent was doing. I was just focused on boosting away. So I played one game against Iceland and one against Lexi. That was right before both got banned.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
I had
yeah.
no idea what they were doing. It's like, okay, you do your turn, I do mine. That.
Well, Icelander's more like we're gonna play our turn together here.
Yeah. No, I got lucky in the Icelander game because my opponent didn't draw his his disruption. So I
Oh,
just X-read twice in a row, which shouldn't happen in that matchup, I think.
yeah.
Then the game was over. So yeah, I think I got ninth there. I
Okay.
just lucked out in my aggressive matchups. It wasn't really that skill heavy,
Hmm.
but it was fun. And that's when I started getting hooked to the game. And from there, yeah, I from there I saw Dash.io, and then I fell in love
Yeah.
because the Dash for me was it's fun, but it's pretty simple. You just boost and don't do that much else.
Hmm.
At least for the X Magic, X Legends of Runeterra, and whatever else.
Okay.
In every other card game, you always have combos and flashy plays, and Dash was sometimes you resolve a max fee, but that's about it.
Yeah. But Dash.io definitely
And
has some flashy plays. So you said
yes.
that you like did your first PQ and you got ninth place there. Did you play any other sort of like card games like competitively before this, or were you just kind of playing? You said Commander, so I don't know if you're competitive, but like getting ninth place at your first PQ is a pretty impressive feat. So and then going on and winning some RTNs after and everything. So like, were you a competitive player before?
I played a lot of TCGs,
Hmm.
but not really competitively. And with physical TCGs, for me, it was, the boundary to go to locals, play in real life. That always seemed like a really high boundary to get
Hmm.
over. So most of the time we had a local friend group, and my brother really likes just buying all sorts of card games
Okay,
and
yeah.
just this place to draft with. So
Hmm.
we just got into every card game that way, and we have a very try hard play group. So even
Okay.
though none of us know the games, everyone is trying their best to solve the meta as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So it was always a competitive environment, even though we were all just casuals. So
Okay,
there
okay.
was this interesting mix of both, and
Okay.
that way we and even our commander runs were also pretty sweaty.
Yeah, you definitely like everyone's trying to win, you know. You may not
Yeah.
know everything about the overall meta of your area, but everyone's definitely trying to win. And that kind of leads me into the next question of what's it like playing in Germany? Do you specifically just continue playing with this like small friend group, or do you go out to some armories now and like what is the scene out in Germany like?
Oh yeah, ever since I started playing Flesh and Blood, that boundary is gone. I just, I have two local scenes here
Okay.
that I play with in armories, and for RTNs, especially the PQCs and there were many PQs in Germany that I could attend because I am pretty central in Germany, so I can pretty much go anywhere.
Okay.
Um, driving like 2 to 3 hours,
Oh, that's not
and
bad at
especially in
all.
the yeah, especially for the PQ season, I was very hyped. So I just registered to every PQ I could.
That's awesome.
And then
And
I
do you do like testing with this group still? Like, is that kind of how you come up with what deck you want to play and everything?
Oh no, that friend group isn't really Flesh and Blood focused anymore. I
Okay.
mean, I mean, we never really were Flesh and Blood focused to begin
Mm-hmm.
with. My brother plays a lot of Flesh and Blood, but he isn't, that into competitive gaming.
Okay.
He still likes to try hard, and he plays really, really well. But compared to other players, he wants to play clean Flesh and Blood. He isn't really, there to win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Understand that.
I test a lot with him. But other than that, I'm in the two main communities I'm in right now is one is just our armory group in Mainz, and we have a pretty big armory, I would say. This week we had I think 22 people for CC.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, wow. Just
compared,
for an armory. Yeah, that's pretty good.
yeah, just for an
Yeah.
armory, yeah. And we're still getting new players as well, so it's really fun there.
Mm-hmm.
But more of a casual environment. You sit there, you just play, have your fun.
Yeah.
And I would say the community I get most ideas from is we have this German Discord channel, the Bridge Builders. And there are a lot of good German players in there, I would say.
Okay.
And anytime I want to bounce ideas or just need some general questions answered. How does Vincent want to play right now? What's her play patterns like? Stuff like that.
That's where
I
you
just
go.
ask there, and yeah,
Okay.
because for pretty much any hero, we have at least one good player there. It's not really a serious team like,
Mm-hmm.
but more just a Discord, a community of fun people to hang around with who know the game pretty well, where you can just ask questions like that or just play test.
Exactly. And so are you the Dash IO guy for your Discord?
Yes.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah, I would say the mechanologist guy in general.
okay, mech guy in general. Very nice. So like what made you originally like want to play Dash IO? Like is there something that you think you could like pinpoint from your past TCGs that you had played that plays kind of similar? Like why Dash IO? And you said you played it since the
Um,
beginning, right?
yeah, I mean the reason I started playing mechanologist to begin with is mostly because of the generic prizes,
Yes.
the generics prizes.
Yeah.
I share a carpool with my brother, so if we would both want to play heroes that need generic staples, we would need to buy them twice. So that was a bit rough. So it's like, okay, someone
Mm-hmm.
needs to play a class where you don't need the generics. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll just play mechanologist. And then luckily, right when I started playing Dash IO came out,
Yeah.
or at least that's how I perceived it. I mean, she was out before, but I didn't know she existed back then. And then I saw she's like the cool version of Dash where you can do a lot more plays. And then I started playing her, and yeah, I don't know. Ever since then, because when I started playing her, there was the time where everyone thought she was a meme. She had a, I'm sure you remember, she had that six spike where she was like 13-0 in that one calling.
Yes.
And everyone was like, oh, Dash IO tier 1 deck, really, really good. And then all the prices spiked. That's when I bought my Mechanologist cards as well.
Same. That's
Bad
what I read
timing.
about mine.
But yeah, then, once people realized, okay, you can just block her out. And then the heavy hitters heroes, Victor was everywhere,
Yeah.
where Headshot Dory was everywhere. The meta was pretty rough for the Dash IO. But she was just so fun to play.
Yes.
You had so many choices. You always have, your HP as a resource, your deck as a resource, your hand as a resource. Everything is a
The
resource.
top of your
It's
deck is a resource.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so much to play with,
Yeah.
and ever since then, I just kept playing her.
Okay, so
And
you played her
I
even
either
through like heavy hitters meta whenever she really like before Cerebellum processor, basically.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're dedicated then.
And I even had some success, because that was the first RTN season, right? When Heavy Hitters
Yeah.
came out, if I remember correctly. And I think I got second twice in
Oh no.
RTNs. I got second twice. I high rolled quite a bit with the Tome of Fiendals back in the day.
Oh,
Healing
Tomo
4, healing 5.
Fiendel.
But yeah, IO back then worked really well. Even though I don't think it was the right meta for it. Are we good with the
Yeah, we're
video? Okay.
good.
And the funny thing is, right when I thought, okay, Dash IO isn't really that playable anymore,
Mhm.
was around calling Warsaw. My favorite Dash IO player, Thomas Pryor, got top 8 in Dash IO with Dash IO in that calling. So he made me a believer again. The one time where I didn't believe in Dash IO, and ever since then, I think it's always Dash IO meta. You just need to be good enough.
This is so true. That's kind of like the reason why I started playing. Like same idea as you. It's like Dash IO might not be very good right now, but the reps that I'm putting in right now are going to be so good because at some point this is going to be the best deck in the format. There's something fundamentally broken like every single time I play. Even whenever it's not very good, it's like I get to look at the top card of my deck all the time. Like there's something broken about this, and sooner or later she's gonna be really good. So then we see, Cerebellum processor come out, and it just is. It's all from there, That card just
Yeah.
kind of made it. So like, whenever you first saw like this armory deck come out, like how were you feeling about like everything?
Oh, I remember clearly how I felt. Day one, you see the cards like, oh, new toys to play with. I was really hyped.
Hmm.
And then I thought about it for like 2, 3 days, and then I realized it's just too strong.
Did
I
you
didn't
ever
like
did
it.
you ever like think about the system reset stuff?
Oh no, I didn't even think about the system reset stuff. That made it even worse. But just high octane plus cerebellums in my head felt so dumb already. And then I remember I started discussing in the Dash IO channel that it's just going to be too strong and we'll be Zen 2.0 and stuff like that. And I remember back then people didn't really think it would push Dash IO enough. But
As we saw,
yeah,
as we have
I mean,
seen it go.
at least from the bannings, yeah. And I still think, I think if they wouldn't have banned it, I think the longer, the more time passes, the better Dash IO gets, because the better the Dash IO players get, because there's
Yeah,
such a high skill ceiling,
yeah,
in my opinion at least. And yeah, I think it's especially with the system reset stuff,
yeah.
because I think the things we saw at Worlds, I think some players would have been really, really, really consistent with the combo stuff,
Hmm.
and it would have been just very degenerate.
Yeah, it
So,
did.
I'm,
It did
I'm
look pretty degenerate on
yeah.
camera there.
So I'm happy we got the bannings. I'm just sad that High Octane is gone,
Yeah.
because I really liked High Octane, and I don't like Cerebellum as much, to be honest, because it's just it's a really good card. I really like playing it, but
Hmm.
High Octane was just
Okay.
more fun.
Yeah, it was just I don't know. Like I had my foil high octanes, and just like the way that the lightning looks on it. It's just a beautiful card. Like that art, that was like one of my first cards that I was like, this is like because that was my original was mech, and I was like high octane. I love this art. I love what it does. It draws a card. Everything about it is just so great. So I agree with you on that one. But that does lead me into another point of do you think there's anything out of this max deck, this wrench maybe, that might be able to push Dash IO any further?
It depends. Because right now there's a discussion if you can just start with the wrench or if it's a double-faced card.
Mm.
Because of the set number. Because usually the weapons are always 002, but it's 022. So people are assuming it's a double-faced card.
Mm-hmm.
But if we just assume that it's not a double-faced card and it's just a weapon you can start with, it could. With the wrench and just the BIOS update list.
It could what? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. It could have potential to be better than both Symbiosis Shot and Hanabi, maybe.
And, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like Symbiosis
I
Shot.
guess. Yeah.
You're only ever shooting Symbiosis Shot like twice in a turn. Like if you have 3 action points, you could possibly have 3 action points, but like if you're just shooting your pistol 3 times, it's not really where you want to be unless they're at like 1. Then that's pretty good. But like if you're just shooting like three every turn, I'd be pretty down for that. Like that sounds pretty good to me. But I guess we'll have to see. I don't know. So like this double face card thing, like what do you even mean by that? Like I know that people have been talking about that, but I don't really understand like how that would even work. So like what's the theory about how that would work?
So I'm guessing what the theory is that you either have that the front side of the weapon is another weapon that is weaker than the back side,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have a certain condition where it's like, I don't know, you play a card or you do something where that weapon then says, okay, now you can turn this weapon around and put maybe hyperdrivers under it, and then the wrench is loaded, and then you can start using the backside.
Okay.
I'm guessing something around that. It's like a mini mechanoid where you have to get a certain condition to get the good
it.
part of the wrench.
Okay. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe. That would.
I honestly, I hope not, and I don't think
Yeah, I
so.
hope it's just a
But
weapon.
that's just, yeah, me too. It would be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm not really a big Blitz player, but data though would be broken with that wrench.
Yeah. Well, Yeah. I don't know. Do they even balance around Blitz anymore? That just seems like.
I don't think so, but I don't hope so. But yeah,
Yeah. I
that's.
don't know if they even think about Blitz like whenever they're balancing. But so like whenever you're testing a deck and testing these new cards and everything that are coming out, like what's your thought process behind that? Because I know that like I have sort of my way of building a deck, but like what's your way of building a deck? Because we've come to completely different conclusions. So I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit about like how you came up with your deck list.
Um. Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is, when I started this deck, because when I start building decks, it's always a bit of a different process depending on
Mm-hmm.
if I go in with an idea and with what idea I go into. And when I started this deck, I just wanted it to be very simple, and I
Okay.
just thought, okay, I just want good numbers, and I just want a good deck where I can, where I have the options, with these 66 cards or 60, 70, whatever
Mm-hmm.
cards, I can beat pretty much any hero in the meta. That was the goal from the beginning.
Okay.
I just want around 50-ish% matchup into everything, and then we can just play the game, and maybe I outplay my opponent, maybe I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Around that's where I was when I started building this deck. And the funny thing is, the first thing I did was put in twin drives and next Vs when I built this deck.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good place to
Because
start.
yeah, exactly. And my last list always didn't have max Vs because before High Octane was banned, my thought process was Dash IO is so strong that I don't need the inconsistency of max V. I just play all the boost cards, and the deck in itself is broken enough that I don't need the max V spike to still win the games.
Hmm.
And that worked out pretty well for me. So, but yeah, High Octane is gone. So I thought, okay, I can't. I need the inconsistency for the spikes because Dash IO isn't good enough anymore. So I
Mm.
started with Max V's, Twin Drives. I started playing, and I was surprised how consistent Max V was, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. And then I started playing. I started watching tournaments. I see, Mario everywhere, Nu everywhere, a lot of assassins. And I start playing against assassins, and suddenly Max V doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah. 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 And
Suddenly
Jarl
it's
as
rough.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even touch a Jarl matchup at that point because that was before we saw the new Jarl lists. That was
Okay.
before the battle hardened. So
Okay.
for me, Jarl wasn't even a hero. He was
Yeah,
just
well, I mean, he
whatever.
still kind of isn't really a hero, but maybe with
Yeah,
Viscerai gone, he might be able to pop back up into the meta a little bit.
yeah. That's what I'm respecting Jarl definitely because we also have local Jarl players now, and I'm losing
Yeah,
to them, so I have to respect them to some degree now.
yeah. So
So
basically, like your reason for taking out Max V was just like you're starting to see a lot more assassin gameplay, a lot more hand disruption stuff. So you don't
yeah.
think like Max V is really the move anymore?
I mean, especially because I built this list especially for German RTNs.
Yes. Yeah.
And Germany, especially South Germany, really likes playing assassins already.
Okay.
So we have, over proportional assassin
Mm-hmm.
and amount of assassins. And now that we're in an assassin meta, we will have even more assassins than usual. So in my head, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I have to take around assassins. So at that point, I just put out the max fees and, I went from there. How can I make this deck as consistent as possible and how can I especially. So that's how I went into the deck building.
Yeah.
So I didn't want that much setup. I still have the Teklo pounders, but I'm not really relying on, setting up pounder one, pounder two, because some news also go for count your blessings.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And I
Definitely.
know, especially the best new in our area also is a count your blessings new. So
Okay.
I had to plan around that as well. So against news where I know that they don't have country blessings, I go more of a set up 1 or 2 pounders where I'm getting disrupted. And once you have 2 pounders on 3 counters, you can just go full aggro. And
Yes.
their fatigue plan is really really tough at that point for them. So they have to go with the HP lead they got from me setting up, which is
Mm-hmm.
always a nice spot to be in when you play Dash IO. I think when the opponent just tries to raise you instead of attacking you out, so you can just go with your game plan of just boosting away.
Definitely.
Um, but yeah, against Count Your Blessings news, if you have a bias update and you find a pounder on top, of course you're gonna get it. But other
Yeah.
than
That
that,
sounds amazing.
uh, that the pounders were mostly just blues.
Just kind of in case, yeah. So
Yeah.
you said you're playing. You talked about at the beginning like these 67 to 70 cards. So are you playing? Are you just playing every card in every matchup?
No, it depends.
Okay. So are you playing a straight
Um,
60 like into Syndra, like the mirror?
I don't like Strike 60
Okay.
because you never know when you play against Syndra, like, okay, it's time to aggro race, and suddenly they have like 9D reacts
That
and
happened to
start trying to
me.
fatigue you anyways. Exactly. So as long as because at this point I went to a lot of locals, so I know most of the players to some degree, and I know what their tendencies. So if I know it's a Syndra where I'm 100% sure they're just going to turn off their brain and just aggro race me, then I might consider 60. But most of the time I go like 62, 63, yeah,
Just in
depending on
case.
the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And I,
sense.
I, I I feel like playing 62 cards doesn't really make the deck that much. I mean, statistically, you get less Spark of Geniuses.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the main price you pay. But, as long as your ratios are right, I don't think it's that costly to play, like,
Yeah.
a couple cards more.
That does make sense because like my list is max V focused, so it's like I really am like not trying to have anything except for max V happening. So like straight 60 into the aggro for me. But like if you're not really trying to max V people, like it's actually just kind of fine as long as you, like you said, as long as you have the right ratios of like blues and reds, then you're actually doing really well. So that does make a lot of sense. I do actually have a question about the Hadron Collider. So like, is that for like the is so I assume this is not coming in the aggro matchups. This is more so to kind of go over the top of like any big fatigue matchups.
Yes, the idea behind this pretty simple. If you have a fatigue matchup where you just where their whole plan is just blocking out, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they heal a bit, but most of the time they're just doing their thing. Just having an item that's guaranteed damage, offensively focused, and where that has synergy with the other pumps and convection amplifier.
Yeah.
because if I know my opponent is very defensively focused, I just get the convection amplifier out at some point, and then I just do my thing. But if you have a turn where it's like, you have a throttle in your hand, you have a bias update in arsenal, and you either have your Hadron Collider from the last turn, or maybe you find one on top or something, you can just play a pretty much one card hand where you just play that one dominated card, and then you do your thing. They can only block 3, or maybe they have a direct in arsenal, but you leak a lot. And it's pretty much unpreventable leak, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And you don't have to play the rest of the hand. You can just keep the rest of the hand, and then you can draw back up. So it's not really that costly for your deck, because usually if you want to leak like 7, 8, you have to boost like 4 cards, 5 cards from your deck, depending on if you found hard or not.
True.
It's going over the top with something like a dominate, because IPing yourself afterwards doesn't really matter, because you leak the damage anyways. But of course, you can still, go for the aggressive line. But most of the time, if you want to play your whole hand, convection amplifier, most of the time, you want to keep the counter.
How are you playing this off the top very much, or?
It depends. Convection amplifier is a weird card.
Convection amplifier and like Hadron Collider.
Oh, do you mean the
like
collider?
Both of them? Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Hadron Collider. It isn't as bad as you think playing it from the top, because
it does cost 2 to play off the top.
Yeah, exactly. But just thinking about the matchup, it depends on how blue heavy your hand is. If you play Hanabi or not, if you need the counter or not, if you get it anyways or not. But paying 2 resources to just generate 4 damage for free is still really, really nice, and it's unpreventable damage. So you don't have the grenade issue where you draw your grenades early, you set up your grenades early, but they still have their whole fridge, so you can't get the damage through. It's just guaranteed damage. I think, if I remember correctly, Mara had also thought Hadron Collider. I remember she had it in, I think, one list. I don't remember correctly, but the logic is pretty simple. You just want more offensive items, and there aren't that many offensive items.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
But to be fair, in my current list, I also put it out because it didn't perform as well as I thought it would. To be honest.
Okay. I mean, like, looking at it, I had never even considered it. So like, I saw your list and saw this card, and I was like, interesting. I haven't even seen this card before. So so yeah, it's just like kind of interesting seeing it, and then hearing you say that like you're not playing it anymore. I guess kind of makes sense, but it looks pretty good to me. Like,
yeah,
being able to go like 3 or 4 wide with like a +2 on each one of those kind of sounds insane.
I mean, the thing is, the main reason I put it out as well is because I'm on Max V again.
Okay.
And I feel like those 2 cards are just not too synergistic.
Yeah.
It's tough, and you need the Max V space as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I like Hadron Collider in general. It's just one of those cards that barely doesn't make the list most of the time, but it's one of those cards that's always in your head, like, okay, should I put in one Hadron Collider? But if you need, that one last filler item, I think it's good.
It's a good filler item there. But, okay, and what about the dissolving shield?
Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah. Yeah, the idea is pretty simple. I thought I would get a lot of dissolving shield value from the assassin and the Sandra matchup.
Yeah.
Because if you play against Nu, it just pretty much prevents anything they could do with Mistblade, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
If you play against Marionette, they can't mark you. And if you play against Syndra, you pretty much get a guaranteed Mask of Momentum denial without really that much of a cost. And I think all those reasons are still good, but it's also a card I put out mostly because it's an item that has 0 offensive value, and right now we are not good enough into the defensive matchups where we can play cards that have 0 offensive value, in my opinion.
Okay.
So you can't even put it. It's pretty much like a Signal Jammer, where you can't even really put it into your Fed stack because it just breaks your hands. So it's more of an equipment slot than a deck slot.
Okay.
If we think about the Fed deck, because I wouldn't put it in if I wouldn't put it into the Fed deck, because having one more card to boost isn't worth having Dissolving Shield in your hand.
Yeah,
because
no.
it literally does nothing.
Yeah, especially if you're on max V or anything like that. Like, if you're
Yeah,
trying to be like as aggro possible, then I don't know, like dissolving shield is just not aggro. So,
yeah.
and then there's another not very aggro that's kind of similar to dissolving shield. We have a disillusion sphere in the yellows over here. I assume that's just for Viscerai.
Yeah, it was for Viserai.
Yeah,
It underperformed, to be honest. I played many games against Viserai. I had the solutions for I think twice, but I don't think they cared too much, to be honest, because they just set up like 15 wound chants and then hit me afterwards. And
yeah,
their hands still countered pretty well because most of their two blocks are the non-attack actions anyway. So
yeah.
you can just three block all the 3-4 block all your attacks and then just set up their rune chants anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a bit useless to talk about it because Viserai I loved anyways, but
Yeah.
it as a tech card, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. So
Interesting. So even
I,
whenever
I
we
would
get
have,
Viscerai too, maybe
yeah, I,
it
I
still
I
might not
don't
be
think I
there.
would play it. Yeah.
Okay. So during your run at your RTN that you won, what kind of like what decks did you play against?
Round one, I played against Nu, but I
Was
got
this
pretty lucky. I
CYV
won
or regular?
not regular.
Okay.
I won the die roll and I had a pounder turn 0 into a pretty offensive turn 1 into another pounder. And then I did 2 pounders on board already.
Yeah,
Oh, and I think I also. Oh, no, no, no. My turn 0 was uncranked red grenade plus pounder because I had the grenade on top.
that's amazing.
And then my turn 1, I found a second red grenade, both popped, and then I finished the turn with another pounder. So it was, impossible for him to fatigue me at that point. So we just
Yeah,
had to race, and winning the race is pretty hard.
especially for
So
new against Dash IO. Like, I mean, winning the
yeah,
race against Dash IO is really hard in general. Like, but yeah,
yeah.
especially for
And
new.
the, Yeah, and then I also had an interesting null time zone play because usually if they don't count your blessings, you call count your blessings. If they're on on the regular list, you would probably call Chia. But I decided to call Codex of Frailty instead
Oh
because
yeah.
in my head the only way I lose was just Codex of Frailty. They do their stuff. They ponder into a good card.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, they didn't have the Codex, so it didn't matter. But I still like that choice.
Yeah, I definitely like the Codex choice. What about round two?
Round two, I played against Syndra,
Okay.
and at that point, I wasn't really sure how I wanted to sideboard into Syndra yet. I wanted the full fridge. I don't think the action point is as important as just having a big fridge. So against Syndra, I took Foundry Heart, Stonewall Gauntlet, Adaptive Plating for the legs, and Crown of Providence. So no action point generation, but just a bigger fridge. The main
Very
reason,
interesting. Okay.
because the idea is you just get, with that fridge, you guaranteed get one Mask of Momentum denial,
Yes.
and depending on how you have to block. And the Stonewall Gauntlets is a pretty good backup if they high roll with Wrath. Wrath of
Okay.
Redemption, I think is the card.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
legendary one of.
Wrath of Retribution. Yeah.
Oh, Retribution, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's one of our main lose conditions if they draw it earlier before they have to block and they got a good
Yes.
turn with it because it's like a 0 for 10, 0 for 12. I don't know what the card does, but
It
it's
can get pretty
really
nuts.
busted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just throwing the Stonewall Gauntlet, it gets like 5-6 value or 4. I don't know, but just enough value for us not to die.
Hmm.
But yeah, most of the time it just blocks 1 or 2. But
Okay.
it's just the backup because if you play a long tournament, you play it like against 2 or 3 Syndras.
Yes.
And in my head, one of the losses where they high roll you turns to a win because of Stonewall Gauntlet, and that's one of the main reasons why I like
Interesting.
bringing it.
Yeah, so
And
I
adaptive
was actually
plating
about
just
to
gets really good.
ask about that. So anytime you're switching out for the so sometimes so you said you switched out the Achilles accelerator, your action point
Yeah.
duration for adaptive plating. That's
Yes.
that's such a different way of thinking about adaptive plating than I ever had. I don't know, for me it's just like it's my arm slot. Duh. And then it's like no, it can actually be any of your slots. So I think that actually makes quite a bit of sense because then you have the 2 block on your chest, 2 block on your head once, and then you have 1 on your arms and 3 on your legs. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. That's
And
yeah,
then you also get
9.
the
Yeah, that's pretty
second block
good.
from the Foundry Heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
then
then it just depends on how you want to sequence it because I like to block with half of the fridge with one hand card to prevent the
yes.
first mask. And depending on how they attack the second time, you can use the second counter with the Foundry Art plus the adaptive to block a breakpoint. But
Yep.
it also depends on the dissolving shield. Sadly, it came in too late for mask momentum, but it still won me the game with breakpoints. And because the other thing I did, in my head, it made sense at the time I took Hanabi Blaster instead of Symbiosis Shot
Mm.
because I thought I don't need action points anyway, so I can just, go all out.
Mm-hmm.
But in hindsight, Symbiosis Shot just is better
Yeah.
because you get into these end games a lot where both of you are like on 2 or 3 HP and you
Yes.
just, all your equipment is gone. They come with a breakpoint, you have to block with 2 cards. You play your breakpoint, they have to come with 2 cards. And if you have a So I think Symbiosis is better overall, but in that game I played Hanabi. Still won in the end with a well-timed dissolving because it just covered the breakpoints.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I also bring Stasis Cell in this matchup
Stasis
instead
cell.
of
What even is
because
what even is this?
I love Stasis Cell. I really like playing it.
Where is stasis cell even on here?
Inventory, one of the blue items.
Oh, okay, in the items. I which one's stasis cell?
Oh wait, do
Oh,
we
the
have
blue,
the
the blue. Okay,
yeah
whenever
the
this
blue
enters
item?
or oh yeah, yeah, this is the one that stops them from playing items or not item from using their equipment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And it's one of those because when we talk about blue items, there are very little blue items that have outside of Teklo and Cerebellum, of course,
yeah.
that really have value for us in most of the matchups.
Mm-hmm.
The next best one I would say is Blue Grenade and maybe now Time Zone. But especially in this list, I try to go in the aggress matchups. I think it's 18 blues most of the time.
Yeah.
So I have to put in 1 pounder anyways. So the other slots are Null Time Zone and Stasis Cell. Null Time Zone in that matchup mostly just, if I see it off the top, it's an action point, but other than that, it's
Yeah.
whatever. The Stasis Cell actually has utility because you can just disable their Flick Knives for 2 turns and then their Mask of Momentum just doesn't really matter as much.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that honestly
Um,
seems pretty good.
yeah, and it also has the benefit of it's also good in the Fat stack against fatigue-ish decks because you can either just have this on the board most of the game, and if you want to push out a grenade and they have like a 2 block left in on one equipment, you can just disable that equipment and then push the
Mm.
grenade through.
Yeah.
Or more relevantly, against flexors. If they have flexors, you just
Yeah.
have this on board, and they pretty much can't pitch blue into flexors
Yeah.
because as soon as they do, you break the
You
chain, you
break it.
activate stasis cell, and yeah, it's pretty much gone.
Okay.
So that's the idea behind that card. Honestly, it didn't do that much in practice yet, but it's a blue item, so it's a blue zero cost item, so it doesn't have to do that much to be decent.
Yes.
And I'm
This is
still I'm
very
still
true.
waiting for it, so it's still in the list. I'm waiting for the right time.
Okay. I actually like
But
that a
yeah.
lot. Interesting. So what about your round 3 after Syndra? What'd you face then?
Oh, Prism. I
Oh,
lost the die
Prism.
roll.
Oh,
Yes, I lost the die roll. I only have 3 poppers because I don't play Max V. It's a
yep.
rough matchup.
Yep.
Yeah, and turn 0 was pretty rough for me. I leaked a lot.
Yeah.
I blocked out the first herald, and then the second herald came through. I had nothing else to block because of I think I had 2 items in hand. I don't remember correctly, but I leaked like 7, and of course they got their erudition ponder, but then they pondered into a figment, so they couldn't arsenal.
Okay, well that's good. That's a nice
Yeah,
little break there. So how do you
and
go
in the
about
end,
playing the Prism matchup?
it's tough. I mean, if you have poppers, it's nice. If you have 1 popper in your graveyard, you are always looking for backups because
Mm.
you can just get the popper back, pop again. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what you're looking for. If you have a max V in hand, it's like okay, their
Yeah.
turn is just it feels really nice. It's also one of the main reasons why I am back on 2 max Vs in my current list
Okay.
because I'm expecting to see more prisms now that Viscera is gone.
Yeah. Definitely
So
Prism is on the upswing right now a lot. So
yeah,
Like, definitely gotta be testing into that matchup a lot. I honestly hate that matchup just because it's like it feels like it should be good for us. I don't know why. I just feel like I lose to it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
I always get them down to like 2 or 3 HP, and then they're just like, turn the corner, and I'm like, oh my
uh,
god. And the die roll is
uh,
just so important for that matchup too.
yes,
Like
yes,
it does
yes.
kind of
The first
hurt.
advantage is insane
Yeah.
for both sides.
Yeah, because like they
And
could just draw no blocks as well, and it's like, okay, we're gonna push through like 8 damage, and you're at 32.
yeah,
So good luck.
yeah, it's definitely very coin flippy, but it's I think one important thing in the matchup as well is, other than drawing poppers, it's just how you use your equipment, because I feel like you
Mhm.
get one spot where you just block out pretty much the whole herald without really committing anything, as long
Yeah.
as you also have. Um, oh, by the way, I'm not playing Achilles into Prism, I think, right now.
No, you're running the plating into it.
I think I also went plating and.
Seems kind of dangerous, honestly.
No, because in my head they wouldn't play ALS into me. So
I got ALS, and that's the thing is that they had never pitched it, they never played it, they didn't play any of the other Spectra auras or anything. So I'm like, this is a
yeah,
regular, like we're just playing a regular Prism. They're trying to race me, I'm trying to race them. So then I get all of my cards, and my next card is a Max V that I've boosted 3 times. It's like if the ALS hasn't come yet, there's no way. I have one action point. I used my DIO, I used my boots, and then they ALS me on the third boost attack, and I was like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. Like, who plays that card versus me? I've never seen it, but it's so good here.
yeah,
So be scared. Be scared of it.
yeah, yeah. I brought. Oh yeah, I remember how I did it. I had bracers of belief on the arms and adaptive plating in the legs for just maximum numbers.
Yeah.
And I think those numbers also won me the game, because adaptive plating blocking 3, 5, 7 with chest and headpiece, and
Yeah.
then having the 2 extra damage in the arms. But I guess Achilles also would have done it, because the 2 damage is pretty much always just the symbiosis shot.
Hmm.
But I think I also played Hanabi in the matchup, if I remember correctly. I
Oh
was
yeah.
just really high on Hanabi because this was my first DIO RTN since the bannings. So
Okay.
I was really hyped on Hanabi because other people were playing it. They told me it's good, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll just play Hanabi into everything.
Yeah.
So this was also the testing phase. But in hindsight, symbiosis is, I think I would just go Achilles. I mean, I would go the armory deck boots, but
Yeah.
I don't have them in this list, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually what
But
I play is
it
the
yeah,
armory deck boots versus them. Armory plus Teklo Heart plus Cop, and then the adaptive plating as well.
exactly.
So I just
I
like
think that's the way to go.
yeah. So I could just block out a whole Herald and just like here, and then
Yes,
save, and also like continue to save one card or one of the 2 blocks for their second Herald of Erudition. Basically, is what I'm waiting for.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go against Prism, but overall, I think there's just that much you can do, because you either don't draw the poppers or you don't. You just throw in all your damage and pretty much your strategy for the most part, other than using equipment correctly, because you can never block the 2 heralds.
Yeah.
So it's just like you just take the herald, you take the angel, you take the second herald. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
hope I have enough to swing back to win.
Yeah, definitely got to
And
block
it's
out the first herald though. Like on their turn, if you know that you're gonna block, you always have to block the first one, because if they can
yes,
flip the angel, come at you for 4 and draw 2, or like do something else, like that's just not good for you. So like you got to block the first one, and then the second one, if you got to take it, you got to take it, but you're not gonna be happy about it. But it's kind of just a race. So
yeah, but for me, for the most part, it's like, as long as I have my equipment, I block the herald, with the equipment. But once I'm naked, it's just, I have a spark and arsenal, I have my boost cards, and then it's like, okay, just throw your damage at me, I'll throw my damage back, and then we'll see who wins.
yep,
So at
basically.
that point, it's just we're just racing, and
Hmm.
the thing is, it feels a bit like a wizard matchup to some degree, because their
Mm.
hand sometimes converts so badly into value.
Yeah.
Because if they have a pigment, they can yellow pitch into the angel at least to get a to get a 4 block. But
Yeah.
it's still a ward 4, so you can just still play around it. And other than that, their hand a lot of times just doesn't block that well. So it feels like as long as you get to your turn, you survive, and they don't have like 3 angels.
Yep.
It's
Then
it's
you're
pretty winning, but
Yeah, then you're pretty good in that case.
yeah.
Yeah. The Prism matchup definitely gonna take a lot of thought from me for the next couple weeks here. Uh well, what about your round 4? What'd you get into?
Round 4, I played against Verdance.
Verdance, okay, a wizard now.
Yes, it was pretty tough.
Okay.
I lost a die roll again, and she had us, I think, a sigil plus, the life thing. So she started with 44 HP.
Oh.
And then at the early game, there were a lot of D-reacts, so it was hard to get through.
Yeah.
I was pretty close to fatiguing, but then I had a spike turn, and they didn't draw their non-attack actions in time with the chest, because they managed to activate the chest, and at that point it's really tough because they just block with the chest, and half
Yes.
their hand becomes 4 blocks. But that didn't really happen because the hands just didn't line up, and in his last hand he also had the instant non-block.
Yeah.
So he had like 9 block value in his last hand, which wasn't enough, and that's
Yep.
how I managed to win.
Got there against the Verdance. Nice.
Yes, MVP was Votronic model. I
Okay, yeah. I
that
mean, so is that specifically for the arcane barrier, or is that because of
Oh no,
the? Did you
I
actually
really
use it?
like playing Votronic anytime I play against someone who wants to fatigue me and who doesn't have that much arsenal disruption. So in Verdant's case, the arsenal disruption is
Plow under.
unpreventable anyways,
Yeah.
because exactly you can't even
Yeah.
Crown of Providence it. But I think depending on the Jarl list, it could make sense. In my head, how I want to play against Jarl right now as well as with Votronic.
Okay. Interesting.
Depending, it depends on their lists. But yeah, that's we can get into that later.
So wait, but like, how do you why specifically like your arsenal? Like, if they have arsenal disruption, are you using Visitronic?
Oh no, it's less about the. I mean, when I play against Jarl, I'm not that worried about getting CNC'd, I think.
Okay.
Because it happens sometimes, of course, but it's not like when you play against Nu, where once your crown is gone, every turn they have a CNC effect.
Yeah.
So you have your crowned once, it protects you, it makes their they have one play that's very undervalue for them because they have to get through the crown, and that's there's just a lot of value for you, but you don't really have that when you play against. I mean, I don't have that much experience against Jarl, to be fair, but especially against the Earth lists, because in my armory most of them play the ice lists,
Yeah.
the mid-rangey frost lists. But yeah, one thing I'm trying right now is just playing equipment where I don't really have to think about blocking against Jarl. So you just play your whole game without really using your equip. And in that one turn where you just want to really pop off, you just crack everything. So you crack your Achilles, you crack your Bracer of Belief, you crack your Votronic, and then you just go the full pop off turn. That's
Okay.
100. That's like 90% consistent, because every time you boost, you get a new card, and you can just fix the top of your deck. If you have an item in hand, you can put it on top.
Yeah.
If you have a Pounder with BIOS update, you can put the Pounder on top. You can do really, really cool stuff with Votronic.
Okay, interesting. So that's kind of like your idea behind
But it's
Votronic is like just popping everything on one turn and loading all of the damage possible.
That's especially for Jarl, because you don't want to pop any of your equips until you kill him pretty much, because otherwise his hero effect is active and
Yeah.
you get the frostbites.
Yeah, you don't
Against
want
something
that.
like Rodents, I think it's pretty simple. You just you get I mean, of course, it depends. You don't want to keep your arsenal for too long against Plow Under and stuff like that. It depends on how they play. But if they're, just using their hand, they just block out their entire hand. They're not trying to disrupt you. You can just, keep a BIOS update in arsenal, and you just play the game normally. And let's say you draw a break hand with like item, and then 2 boost cards, or item, 1 boost card, stuff like that. Or maybe you just get a good hand, with a blue and a pounder. Then you can just crack the Votronic, boost once, put the pounder on top, play BIOS, boost again. You get the pounder for free.
Oh,
And you
yeah,
draw boost.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool plays with Votronic that you can do.
So,
It's
whenever you boost the card, do you draw the card that you're supposed to boost, or does it boost
Oh,
one
no,
and then
no.
you draw?
You boost one, then you get a random card that you don't know, and
Okay.
then you can decide which card to put on top.
Okay. Yeah.
So the simplest level 0 play is you have a red grenade in hand
Mm-hmm.
with a blue pitch and 2 boost cards. You crack the Votronic, you play your first boost card, put the grenade on top.
Yep.
You draw a card, put the grenade on top, and then you can just play out the grenade.
Okay.
That's the level 0 play.
Yeah.
But the good thing is the effect keeps on for all the other
For the
boosts.
whole turn. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just keep fixing your hands. If you need a 0 boost, you draw a 0 boost, and then you put the 1 boost on top, depending on what you need. So Votronic is really cool. And it also has one more benefit. It doesn't come up a lot, but what you can do is if you have 1 card left in deck, and you have 1 boost card in arsenal, 4 boost cards in hand, you can just crack Votronic, you boost, you fail to draw, but you can still put a card on top so you can boost again.
Oh.
So you can just, if you need a long chain for the final turn, you can use Votronic for that as well.
Interesting. Okay.
That was relevant for me once before the bannings when I played against Enigma, because I also played AB3 into Enigma
AB3.
because I like because of the Votronic effect, but it just
yeah.
feels weird because you're presenting AB3 against non-Arcane heroes. But Votronic is really fun. I really like the card.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good.
It's not good enough, of course, to play it when you need Crown, but
Cop is really, really good for us. I really like that card.
honestly insane.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the best cards. Like, anytime people are like, what should I upgrade on the Armory deck? It's like, look, the best bang for your buck is going to be Crown of Providence. The card's really good. It's usable in other hero. Like, it's probably like the best headpiece, like generic headpiece right now. So I mean, like, it's just super good. So I would definitely recommend Crown of Providence. But anyway, so you beat the Verdants, got there, almost got fatigued, but we got there on a good Votronic turn. And then what'd you get after that?
Round 5, my first Viserai.
Okay.
And I won the die roll, and I had pretty good turns. I would say I high rolled quite a bit. And it wasn't that close, to be honest. Well. I wasn't close to getting fatigued. The life counts weren't as close either. But yeah, that was one of those DIO games where you just draw your sparks right, you get your crank card, you have your cerebellums, you just do your thing. You're insanely overvalue. And
the grenades are on top
can't
and
fatigue
the
you.
0/60s are in hand. That's all I ever ask.
Exactly. So yeah, there's not much to say about that. I resolved the dissolution sphere, but it didn't really do anything, to be honest. And my final game was DIO Mirror.
Ooh, DIO Mirror. So this is you've lost one game so far, right?
Oh, no, I'm 5-0 at this point.
Oh, 5-0 at this point. Okay, yeah.
Yes, and I am the only 5-0 at that point as well, because we're 48 people. So at that point, I'm guaranteed first seed. So the last round doesn't really matter that much for me. So I played the DIO Mirror, and I'm really interested in how I would want to sideboard this. And since the game doesn't matter as much, I just tried Hanabi Blaster again, even though I was like 80% sure it's not the right call at that point. And I also, I think, went for Bracers and Adaptive on the legs again.
Okay.
Because I just wanted the value, but in hindsight, the right call was really just Achilles and Adaptive in the arms. That was the right call. I also lost the coin flip, I think. And the game was pretty quick. I got max feed. I got rolled over.
Yep.
Then I used a pretty good deck.
The DIO Mirror is usually pretty quick.
Pretty similar to the Prism matchup as well. The first advantage is pretty huge on both sides, of course.
Yes.
But still really fun. And just having table 1 DIO Mirror in 48 people RTN was pretty sick.
That's
and we were the only
awesome.
two DIOs as well. So
okay, so both the DIOs made top 8.
Yes.
Okay. And did you know this player before? Have y'all like played each other or anything?
Yeah, he usually likes to play Dash a lot.
Okay.
But he's no longer a Dash believer after the high octane bans.
Okay.
So he's going for DIO as well. Yeah, so that was my first time seeing him on Dash IO, but yeah, I know him. We played a lot. I remember, I think it was it was one of my first RTNs where I went second in the end. My
Nice,
first
yeah.
game was against him, and he played Dash as well in that game, and I think he turn one double max V'd me.
Oh, turn one double max V.
Or it was turn two, I
That
think. I
yeah,
don't remember.
that
I think
sounds like an
it was
insane setup.
the Teklo core setup, and it's like, oh
Teklo
yeah, max
course.
V, and then another max V, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
unlucky GG.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, no, it's just really nice seeing other mechanologist players because online I like discussing with people who still believe,
yes,
but in real life you don't really see that many serious mechanologist players,
yeah.
at least around here. So it's always nice seeing someone else have success with their, because he also had a very different version from mine.
Mm,
It was pretty much a dash list with some crank items sprinkled in, but it just felt like the hybrid dash list where you just play boost items.
yeah,
So the ratios were very very different, but it's a lot more consistent. But you don't get the DIO spikes, just
yeah.
one
No,
resource
that's
sixes
that
as much.
is that is why we love Dio is the spikes.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my last matchup, and then I got into top eight.
Hmm.
The top eight was Viserai, and then the Dash IU again, and then another Viserai.
So two Dios, two Viscerai,
Yes.
and then that was
Um,
it. Oh, that was what you played against, I assume.
that was what I played against.
Yeah.
We also had the CYB Nu was in the top eight,
CYB new.
who I was very scared of.
Oh, really? I
The-
don't
the-
mind CYB new.
oh no, I'm always worried when I see Nu, and it's not just. I think Nu in general is not the best matchup.
Yeah, it's
It's
definitely a
a
tough
pretty tough
matchup.
matchup.
Yeah.
And I don't think CYB is worse than normal Nu, but the way I like to play is I like to set up a bit when I play against
Mm,
more of the fatigue matchups because I'm
yeah.
just so used to it because of all the heavy hitters,
Yeah.
Victor fatigue matchups.
Yep.
The only thing you could do there was just set up all your pounders, and then once you have your win con ready, you just boost through. Um, and I can't really do that against CYB. So the skill set in that direction I have doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And he's also the best Nu, I would say, at least in South Germany, at least
Hmm.
that I know of, and definitely one of the better players in Germany in general.
Yeah.
Uh, we definitely meet regularly in top eights,
Yep.
so I really respect the player as well. So I was just really worried
That's
about that
more, yeah,
matchup.
that's more of the scary part. Honestly, like the CYB new, I am not very scared of it because like if they can't block, like the first two boom grenades just completely get rid of their first two CYBs. Like it just they have no effect. So
Yeah, yeah. If it aligns, it's perfect. But in my head, it's always like you get your hand with backup protocol, grenade, pounder. It's like, okay, I play one pounder, Arsenal pass, and then
yeah.
they're like CYB, CYB, and then the game is over.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's what I'm always worried about. But yeah, I guess it's in both directions how
yeah.
it aligns. But I guess overall the matchup would be better. I haven't played against enough CYB Nuo
Yeah,
to
the
know that.
regular new is really really tough. I feel like CYB any
Yeah.
CYB deck honestly is kind of easy. Like just run. Like they cannot gain
Uh,
life faster than I can kill you. So,
yeah, I'm not. I'm scared. I'm scared about Jarl, to be honest,
yeah.
because for Nu it's fine because they don't have a fridge.
Yes.
If
Yeah, they only
if
have
if
like
they
one
draw too many
box.
if they draw one CIB, yeah, it's like your grenades will get through. But if you play against a Jarl, even if they have one CYB in it, it's like your grenades don't go through, and then they still have their CYB in arsenal, and
Yeah, they
then
still have like 10 block on board and you're like, "Oh,
ah,
god dang it."
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm not too sure yet. I played against CYB Jarl yesterday in my armory, and ever since then I'm just clicking on lists. I'm goldfishing, figuring out what's the best way to just go around it
Yeah.
consistently. But I think you're right. It's just build the best consistent deck you can and just boost through. I think just presenting consistent overrate numbers every
Yes.
turn.
Yeah.
Not really needing off turns, using cerebellums as effectively as possible to just
That's the
refresh your
most
arsenal
important
so you
part.
never get
Yeah.
your off turn.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go, and I think you have to go into that matchup with that mindset as well. I think that will be my mood for now, but that's
Yeah.
just my current thoughts. It's not as tested.
Yeah, it's always scary like seeing like a newer Jarl across, and then whenever they play the CYB, it's like, okay, now I know that you have 6 cards that guaranteed don't block. So let's just hope your hand has that whenever I got my boom grenades on board. It's like, if they go no
Yeah,
blocks and then like I play a boom grenade and then it's like they have 4 cards in hand, but they just didn't block this one, so I guess we're just gonna have to try. We're gonna test it out, see if you got the cards that can block. So
yeah,
if they can't, then we're gonna be
yeah.
good.
Sometimes it's also it's just a handshake as well. Yeah, as you say, because sometimes it's I don't know. You have like 2 outpaces in the fender bender. They only have 1 block
Oh,
equips left, so
oh yeah,
you definitely get through. And then suddenly it's like think below fate shelter. It's like, oh shit.
yeah, that's true.
Sometimes the hands just don't align,
Yeah,
but that's yeah. I guess that's the variance of that matchup.
yeah.
It is what it is.
But yeah, anyway, so you saw the
Yeah,
CYB new,
back to
two
the top
Misride,
eight.
2 DOs, a CYB
Yeah,
new,
I
and
think I think
then,
there was also Victor in top eight as
ooh,
well.
Victor.
So yeah, one Victor. I'm not sure what he was doing. He was always sitting next to me, and I'm not sure what was happening. But there was one turn where he had like 8 cards in hand.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it was just
Dude
doing
had
the
some
Victor.
gold.
Yeah, I think he was doing the pitch deck stuff where
Okay.
he knew exactly what he was drawing in the
Yeah.
pitch deck and just did his thing. But I'm not exactly sure. I didn't play against him, sadly. I would have really liked to because I really like the matchup, even if it's really bad.
Yeah.
It's
I like
I
that
think it's
matchup
a
too.
really yeah. It's just really fun because it
Mm-hmm.
feels fair to some degree
Mm-hmm.
because they have to play. They have to deck build really aggressively right now.
Yes.
So you don't really get the victors with 3 things, 3 fates or whatever. It's just they have their attacks, they have their clashes, and that's about it.
Yep.
And playing the matchup like that feels really fair because if you have an outpace that comes in, I don't know, dominated for 6, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you always go through
Yeah, you're
because they
not
can't have a
blocking
direct
this.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
So it's it's a very weird matchup where it's not really favored, but it feels fair.
Honestly,
So
I agree with that sentiment a lot. It doesn't feel like it's favored, but like anytime I play it, it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing, and if I can do that, then I'm just gonna win the game. Like,
yeah,
and anytime that we're playing against each other, it's like, I might, because a lot of the times, like versus the Guardians, I'll get down to like 10, 15 HP, and they'll be at 40, and they'll be sitting there, and they're like, oh, this game's easy, this game's done for. And then I just have one turn where it's just like, oh, you're at 40? Actually, no, you're not. You're at 10 with me now. So
yeah,
let's play this game. And let's see. So that's just how Victor feels a lot of the time for me, and it's a fun matchup. I think it's definitely
yeah,
a skill testing because like you said, Jarl can be very just like, oh, my hand didn't align. Well, dang, that doesn't really feel like skill testing. But like Victor is just like always kind of skill testing. It's like, do I take this Spinal Crush now and just like play a item this turn or something, or do I have to
yeah.
block with 3 cards and then so it's always interesting seeing.
Yeah, and sometimes I love this Final Crush, Guardian question in general.
Yeah.
That's why I miss Bravo as well, because when you play against an Azalea, and I had this discussion a lot today. When you play against an Azalea, and she just read in the ledgers you every turn,
Yeah.
it's not really a question. It's like, okay, I block with 1 card because I can't block with more than 1 card, and
Yeah.
then I swing with my biggest attack I can, and I boost if I have a bad card on top, and
Yeah.
that's all the decisions you can make.
Exactly.
But when you play against the Guardian and they Spinal Crush you,
Mm-hmm.
it feels, on paper it should be a very similar, question, but it's not because, do I want to block with 1 card? How much do I want to preserve my HP right now? How much do I want to preserve cards in my deck right now? How important is this turn for me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because even if have your full fridge, sometimes it's right to just take the Spinal Crush and then just IP4 pass because the resources in your deck and the resource your HP is not that relevant and the resources in your deck are just really relevant because if you
Yes.
block 3 cards it's like boosting 3 cards away because you have to draw 3 new cards and you
Exactly.
didn't threaten any damage. So it's a
Exactly.
very, very, especially in the matchup, it's such a cool. I love playing against Guardians. It's just it's a very tough matchup, but it's so expressive. There's just so
Yeah.
much to think about, so much to do, even if you still lose most of the time.
That's like my
It's really
favorite thing
fun.
about Dio in general is just like it.
Yeah.
Everything feels so expressive. Like just and it always feels like you can look at your hand and be like, "Wow, this hand is terrible," and then you can look at the top card of your deck and be like, "Huh, wait a second, this hand might
Oh,
actually be
Surrender
pretty
Lamp.
good." Okay,
Yeah.
and it's like it feels like you always have an out to like play to. Like you can always
Uh,
get somewhere no matter what, basically. Like I've only ever had a couple hands where like I look at it and I'm like, oh, I can't do anything, I lose the game. Like this is just gonna and those are usually turn zero hands. Like basically the only time I ever
uh,
think that is if I draw 4 items against Syndra on turn zero. Then it's like, oh well, darn.
not much to do there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start this game at
Uh,
20. GG.
yeah. I was also thinking about flexers for Dio just for that reason, because if you have like items in your hand, you can blue item could still block for 6.
It
Maybe
could.
it's good.
It could do
Um,
that.
yeah.
But the action
It,
points though.
yes,
I'm
exactly.
addicted to the action points, honestly.
It, yeah, and most of the time you need the blue anyway. So I thought about it. It might be interesting, but Plexus is too expensive for those kinds of experiments right now. Yeah, if
Yeah,
I
and
had
it's
it lying around, I think I would play it for one event, yeah, just to
just
test
to
it out.
see.
Because because it could be good. I don't think it is good, but it could be good.
It could be, yeah. It could
Yeah.
definitely be good.
Uh,
So,
the
what was your first matchup in the top 8?
the first matchup was Viserai,
Okay.
and I
Is this the
played
same
against this.
Viscerai you played?
I know it's a different one, but it's another one I played against before on Dash, i.e., in a different event in top 8.
Okay.
And I remember he didn't block at all in that matchup and he just got run over. And I remember he was thinking, oh, I should have blocked more. So I have
Okay.
to fatigue out. So I knew this time he would try to fatigue me more.
That's a
So that's how I went into the matchup. And that's exactly how it was and was really, really close.
mhm.
I went in with Hanabi
Yeah.
because I think it's a perfect matchup for it. When
That's
I play
yeah.
against Viserai, I bring in 65 cards. It should be consistent. It should
Same
boost, but
exact. Yep.
they have enough 4 blocks. But they don't have the disruption like Vincent, for example.
Yep.
Because the worst thing is once I come, but they don't have the cults and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I just took the Anabel Blaster. I did my thing. I boosted. It was pretty close. It came down to the right last hand, but I boosted 3 times. Hanabi finished the game. So pretty close overall, but yeah, I won that one. The second round was against the same Dash IO player, but I
Okay.
had higher seeding, so I just went first. I didn't troll myself with my sideboarding, so I took the right equipment,
Yep.
and it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's
Just a
just
regular old Dio mirror.
exactly. I mean, you play it like you should play it. If you
Yeah.
have the fridge, they have a red grenade. You just commit one turn to blocking as much as you need to with the equipment. Maybe one card in hand, and other than that, just do your thing.
Mhm.
The finals was against the same Viserai I played in the Swiss in
Mhm.
round 5. He beat the CYB new players. I was pretty happy I didn't have to play against him. Higher seeding again, so I went first. I had a pretty bad turn 0. I think I didn't set up anything,
mm.
and I don't think I got the Nabi counter either. So I was like,
Oh
pretty
wow.
pretty
Yeah.
much nothing.
That is a sad turn zero.
But I also don't think the Hanabi count is important enough to go
Yeah.
for no arsenal.
Not in that matchup. But I mean,
Yeah,
if you are playing it in an
I
aggro
think
mirror, then
yes. I
yes.
was about to say I think if you go first against Syndra, it
Yes.
might be worth it to take Hanabi and then
I
just boost.
I think that might be true. But I mean, then you're kind
Yeah,
of relying on like drawing a hand that could boost 3 times.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the issue
But
because
if you
no, I
do
think it's
it,
bad.
then it's pretty good. Like,
Yeah. But I think it's no. I take it back. Symbiosis is better, but
yeah.
still, interesting thought. I had a pretty bad turn 0, and then his turn 1 was really good. Just a moderate tide, bing bang, Viserai turn. Viserai does
Mortar
things.
Tide Bing Bang.
Yes, I took a lot. and my turn was okay-ish, but not that good. And
Yeah.
then he had another moderate high turn, and it was like
You're
12 to 30 something.
ooh, yeah, you're scared.
Was going that well, but I had a pretty good spark turn, 5 card spark, and I
Yeah.
had, I think, a cerebellum. I got a grenade from top, it was like a 28 damage turn, so it equalized a bit. But he still had, equipped blocks. He committed a lot to defending as well, so HP was still not that close. And my hand after that was really, really bad. It's like, one red boost and then 2 blue items and I think red backup or red, I don't even
Yeah.
remember something. But that's exactly what we were talking about. It was like, oh shit, I lost this game. And then I look on top and it's a cerebellum. I play the cerebellum. The card after that is a spark of genius.
So
And
easy.
and
So
that's
easy.
that's the dream.
Yeah.
And what I really really like about the Runeblade matchups, I mean, I shouldn't say Runeblade matchup against Vincent and Viserai. It doesn't really apply that much to Aurora because she doesn't really make that many rune chants.
Yeah.
But as a DIO, I really like those matchups because your non-block blue items suddenly become 3 block as well. So
Yeah, no, that's
it's
very true.
a lot less reliant on, oh shit, I drew 3 items, I lose the game because you can just still pitch the pounders into AB three, AB 1 3 times.
Yeah.
That's why I like those matchups a lot because it feels like you can go a lot more mid-rangey and you're not forced to, just go all in all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, then it got. Oh, the game was so sick. Yeah, then I did my cerebellum stuff. Then I was really low. He was really low. It's like a nail biter. He has to block. I have to block. And then I had one turn where it's like he was, I think, on 2 HP,
Mm-hmm.
and
So next Hanabi shot just wins the game.
yes, but I can't get my Hanabi shot off because I'm on
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. Yeah, you
and
can't.
and there were 2 really cool spots in the game. I think I had a 4 card hand and I had to boost in a way um, where I had to use the Foundry Heart
Okay.
and I had to force him to block.
Mm-hmm.
And the important part was getting him to a 2 card hand
Yeah.
and then playing the pulse wave for x equals 2. And the only way I win the game at that point is if he has a 2 block.
Mm.
Because if he has 2 3 blocks, he can just block with 1 3 block, go to 1, and then just finish me.
Yep.
But he had the 2 block.
Two
So
two
I forced him with
blocks.
the 2 block. He has to throw in the 3 block as well, and then I took his hand again.
Yep.
And after that, I think I got the 3 boost turn with Hanabi, and I think
After you
at
strip the
that
whole
point,
hand, yeah.
yeah. But I also had an interesting line in hindsight that I think misplayed.
Hmm.
It was he was on 2 HP. It was I think 1 turn earlier,
Okay.
and I got a yellow grenade off, and I had a cerebellum already, and I just auto piloted to I cranked the grenade so I get the free draw off.
Yeah.
But the grenade at that point was threatening so much because 1 equals 2 at that point.
Exactly, yeah.
So, so he doesn't get one breakpoint block for free. So what I should have done instead, I think probably I'm not 100% sure,
Hmm.
but I think I should have not cranked it and used Achilles instead,
Oh,
which
okay,
feels
yeah.
really really dumb because I was on
Whenever
1
you're at
HP
one,
against
yeah.
Viserai.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I think at that spot it was the highest EV play with how my deck is built because my deck is full of just 1 for 4s. I can't brick with a max V. It's very consistent. So I think just having that grenade on the board,
Okay.
because then I wouldn't have had to rely on that pulse wave thing
Yes.
because he just has to
Because
block
you
all the
yeah,
fours.
you got all like they're all death anyway. On hit die. My favorite on hit.
Exactly. So that was something I learned in that game.
Interesting.
No matter how obvious the crank looks, always think about it.
Yeah, definitely. So you've won an RTN. You're feeling great. Are you playing any this weekend? I know this is the last weekend for RTNs. So
Oh, I'm not playing any this weekend. I played 1 week after the one in Raid and Trade. I played one more draft RTN.
okay.
Preparing for the Pro Tour.
Okay. So you're
Uh,
gonna so you're gonna be in London.
yes, yes. I'm
Okay.
really
Very
hyped.
nice. Yeah.
My first professional event.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really fun. Do you have like a big group of people going out and playing in London all together?
Sadly not. usually a lot of the bridge builders also go to the Pro Tours, but I feel like I hit the off season where either people don't have the time or they didn't qualify. So
Yeah.
I think from the people I know, like 2 or 3 other people are going,
Okay.
but not a big group, sadly.
Yeah, it'll be very fun. I've been to a few of them so far, and they're always a blast. So, just go out there, have some fun, talk to people. It's
Yeah,
a great time. So are you planning on bringing Dash IO to the Pro Tour then?
I think so.
If you could talk about what deck you want to play, some people are
Oh
secretive
no,
about
I'm
what they're doing.
I don't really care. I don't think I'm good enough that people need to scout me. I'm just doing my thing, having fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll bring Dash IO. It would feel wrong not to bring her because I just identify with the hero because I think if I was try harding 100%, I think I would be playing Aurora
Yeah.
because the one hero I played other than Dash IO was Aurora in
Hmm.
Calling Leon, and it
Okay.
went really well. I think I got 13th.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Yeah.
And yeah, the deck. I really like how the deck plays. All the options you get that you don't have with the mechanologist, with D reacts, instants, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Beating your opponent into Arsenal disruption, and then playing the CLV from Arsenal. It's really really fun as well. And I was thinking, before all the RTN stuff, I thought I'd either bring Dash, but yeah, I have a very stupid Hanabi Dash list that catch people off guard. It's a red line Dash.
I've seen some good Hanabi Dash lists recently,
But
actually.
yeah, no, but that was before the high octane bannings when I cooked the
Okay.
list.
Yeah.
And that's how I qualified for the Pro Tour as well. I
Okay.
won 2 Pro quests with the Hanabi Dash list.
Okay.
And the idea is very simple. You take all the bright lights bulk, all the 0 for 3s and all the 1 for 4s, including 0 to 50 and Rezel Dazzle.
Oh my god.
And that's 72 cards. And that's pretty much the deck. You start
Okay.
with a you start with a hyperdriver
Yeah.
as your starting item, and then you just
And then
boost
you
0 for 3,
go.
1 for 4, 1 for 4, and then you get your counter. And once the hyperdriver is gone, you just replace it with a Teklo core, either from sparking it or from playing it, and then you get 2 more turns, and then your opponent is hopefully dead because the deck can't really whiff,
Yeah.
and you always get guaranteed max fees.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the deck.
Sounds
It's
pretty
really
fun.
dumb, but yeah, it's. I played it for 2 events, and then it was too much brain rot. It's very very different from Dash.io, but
It's
in my head
just
it made sense for Pro Tour because I wanted to focus on the limited part because I'm not that good with limited yet.
okay.
Because I feel like that's more of a when you're a newer player, I think there's more of a knowledge gap with limited than CC.
Yeah.
Once you know what all the heroes do and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
getting into the game is hard, but after the first year, I feel like right now,
Yeah, just evaluating cards in limited is just like
yeah,
not only is it hard, you also only have 60 seconds to do it and it's like, "Oh my god, which one of these cards is right?" Like it's definitely
yeah,
it's definitely a lot to think about during that. And I don't know. I prefer draft, honestly. It's my favorite format. So, but I also did a lot of draft in Magic, but I so
yeah,
I
same,
I come
same.
from that. So,
Yes.
I love
Uh,
drafting.
yeah, me too. And I really like, drafting in Flesh and Blood. Just the draft experience itself is fine, but playing limited decks in Flesh and Blood is so fun.
Yes.
It's
Yes, it is.
I don't think it's comparable to other card games. It's just so it's just so fun. In my first draft in the RTN,
Mhm.
I drafted Fang, and I noticed there weren't many Fangs, and the Fangs were all prioritizing the Draconic reacts.
Yeah.
So a lot of the 0 for 4 pumps and were going through,
Mhm.
and I just filtered them all. And my list was all 3 blocks except for the 0 for 4 pumps. And other than that, it's just 0 for 4 pumps. I don't need go again. I
That
don't need
sounds
anything.
amazing. Yeah, it's just like I'm just
And
gonna get a huge one sword here.
and the only thing I did was just go on wait every turn.
Yeah.
Bank a 0 for 4 pump in Arsenal. Wait for more 0 for 4s, and
Mhm.
then just have that one turn where like 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, crack the chest, and then dagger. Because then
Okay.
you don't need to pitch the
Yeah,
cards. You,
yeah,
you,
then
you
you're
you skip the
good.
pitching, and
Yeah.
then you're on wait every turn except for that one turn where you're like 4 card. What is it? And let's say you have 3 pumps, that would be 3 card 13.
Yeah, 3 card 13 and
And
limited is amazing.
that wins games.
Yes, that definitely
That was
wins
pretty much
games.
it. That was pretty much it. And that's exactly how I played it, and it was so fun because that's not how Fang should be playing, but it still worked out. It was
Like I feel like so the limited sets recently they've been doing a really good job of like crafting the limited experience. I think that like Rosetta, I think it's only gotten better since
yeah,
basically like Heavy Hitters was great. Miss Vale is honestly probably one of my favorite limited environments like of any card game ever.
yeah,
And then Rosetta was also really good, and just like and this one also really really good. This is another just banger of a set for limited for me, and it's just they just keep getting better with it. I think they've kind of hit their stride with how powerful they want the game to be. Because Miss Vale was a little bit too powerful, but I feel like Rosetta, Heavy Hitters, Hunted have all been like we'll see what the next set looks like. I feel like the next set's gonna be a bit strong, just the way that they're talking about it.
uh,
I feel like it's gonna be another Miss Vale.
I hope we get mechanologist cards. I'm I'm
Uh,
still I'm still praying that one of the pirates is a mechanologist
we'll
because
see. That kind of makes sense, but
and I have a theory because do you know the card art of Truth?
yes.
In the background you see pirates.
Yep.
Did you know in the background there are pirates and one of the hands is a mechanologist hand?
Maybe there's
Maybe,
something there.
maybe.
Maybe there. Well, there was also like a Rosetta, like some sort of Earth hand or something. So.
Yeah, we ignore that part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that doesn't line up with the theory. So.
We don't
Don't
elementals.
worry about it.
Yeah, no, I'm coping, but I also think they're doing a great job with all the expansion slots. Now Time Zone is such
Yes.
a great card. I love it so much. It
Okay.
might not be the best card, but
Okay.
it's just such a cool. It's like Stasis Cell. Like I just
Mm,
love having a card like that in our pool where you can just surprise people with it.
yeah.
Because I think my favorite Flesh and Blood experience so far has been um, I played one of the finals I played in one of my first RTNs
Hmm.
was against Combo Bolton, and I
Oh.
had no idea what Bolton does. It was my first game against Bolton. It's like, oh, he doesn't do anything. I just keep boosting, and suddenly I'm dead because
Yes.
he just hit the combo.
Lumina. Lumina.
And exactly, and after that I was thinking, what can I do against this degenerate combo? And I just looked through all the mechanologist cards, and that was the first time I saw Stasis Cell. And
Mm.
Stasis Cell was my anti combo Bolton tech because the combo Bolton player is the same player who's the CYB new player now.
Okay.
A really really good player.
Yeah.
So when I started playing, it was like checking in my area. Who are the best players? What are they playing? And what can I tech against them so I stand a chance.
Yeah.
That's how I went in. And then the next time I played against them, I had my Stasis Cell ready in the game. I do my thing. I always have a spark of genius in Arsenal. I'm just waiting for him to keep his hand so he can
Hmm.
so he can pop off with his combo. And then I just play my spark. I get the stasis cell. I deactivate his chest. He can't combo,
Yep.
and
See
he
you
doesn't know.
later.
He doesn't know what to do because he's never been in the situation before. So next turn, I draw my hand. I do my thing. I pop the stasis cell. He can't combo again. The turn afterwards, and the best part about stasis cell, it goes under your deck.
Oh, it's just
So,
back.
yeah, exactly. And then I draw my next spark of genius, and then I just boost again, and then I spark again. And then I get the stasis cell back again. So like for 4 turns he couldn't combo me.
Yep. Sorry, bud.
And,
No combo for you.
and after that I T-boned his chest so he couldn't combo at all.
And
And
there it
then
goes.
and then I got fatigued in the end, but it was really close.
Oh man.
After all that, I still got the issue is because you don't get offensive value from the sparks.
Yeah. No.
I didn't have enough damage in the end, but it was really really close. It was once he blew the shot off. He was on 2, had no cards left, and so close.
Dang.
But I think overall that was just theorizing, putting it together, and then it just working like that against a really good player. It
Very rewarding.
after that I was just hooked to the game for
That's
for
amazing.
life.
That is amazing. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear about all of your ideas and everything, and just kind of how you came up with your deck list. And congratulations on winning your RTN. Congratulations. I hope you do very well in London. I hope you do very well at your nationals. I am excited to see you up there on the top tables, maybe on stream a little bit over in London. I'd be very happy to see you up
Hopefully.
there. And yeah, thank you very much for taking time out of your day. I know it's late for you, but you know, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We,
Yeah.
we don't have enough good Dash IO content, so I'm really glad to see
Yeah.
that you're putting in the work, interviewing people. I watch all of your videos as well after you messaged me, and I really liked all of them, especially the one with Raphael and I forgot his name, the one who got really good a really good placing in the calling in Memphis.
Oh, Aaron. Yes.
Yes, Aaron,
Yeah.
exactly. He was the reason I started with the Hanabi because
Okay.
the first time I started was his stream game against Victor, I think.
Okay. Do you have any shout outs or anything? Any social media you want to plug? Anything?
Um, no social media, just my local communities, especially John and David from our Minds community. They're putting a lot of work, just to make Flesh and Blood for everyone as fun as possible.
That's awesome.
And Pascal, also local, who tries really, really hard, and it's just nice having someone where you just keep bashing heads with,
Yeah.
and just the bridge builders community in general. They're also a big reason why I just stuck with the game as long as I did. It's really fun just having a community where you have fun together with.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you have that, and just keep it up, everybody. Go out there, have fun, play some games in the flesh and blood, go out and see the world. Thank you very much, Inez, for coming out and interviewing. Can't wait to see you on the top tables at Pro Tour.